Luke Berg, the Geek of Steel here, and I'm back with episode 51 of the podcast of Steel. This is going to be all about my Wonder Woman 84 experience and the exciting few weeks that I have had. I'm not too sure how long this podcast will be because I have got a lot of things to talk about. Basically, this was the film that 2020 needs, I feel. But in this podcast / video, this will be up on YouTube as well, as I've got some visuals to share with you all. I will be talking about my trip to London, how that came to be, the exciting moment I got to interview Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins, and as I said, yes, my spoiler-free review of the movie. I want you to enjoy this movie with a clear mind. I don't want you to have any thoughts going into it, so I don't want to share any spoilers. Today is the 15th of December. I'm actually recording this a few days before, so hello from the past. But I'm sure if you went looking, I don't know why you would want to, but you could find spoilers online for this movie. But basically, this is just my opinion of the film, the thoughts and emotions that it made me feel. And yes, as always, as I've said in the past, the most important person's review you should listen to is your own. But basically, this episode of the podcast of Steel is for me to get everything off my chest, because I've only had the chance to speak to a few people about this film that have already seen it, a few other bloggers and journalists. And it's been great to speak with them about it and share our thoughts, but I really want to know your thoughts as well. So when this film is available and you'll get a chance to see it, feel free to send me a message to talk about it and share your thoughts and your questions and the possibilities of maybe future movies. But I had a lot of fun. So this will work as a nice little journal entry for me in years to come, when I can look back at this episode and remember the exciting time I had in London and the great time I had watching the movie. So I've got this little book, my special little journal. In here, it's a fair bit written down. I can show that on there. I wrote lots of thoughts down as soon as I finished watching the movie and I was on the train home. So there's a lot of Luke thoughts in this book, and I hope that I can read my writing. So, where it all began. I was very grateful when Warner Brothers asked me to attend their London cinema to watch Wonder Woman 84. And that was on the 4th of December. And I got up very early in the morning, planned my trip. I had not been to London since the beginning of the year, when I went to see the Birds of Prey movie. So it's been an interesting year for travel, but I left early. And I have to say, it was all done very professionally and safely. The train was pretty much empty. I had masks upon masks and gloves and hand sanitizer and everything to keep me safe. And when I got into the major London station, being Waterloo, for 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, it was surreal, to say the least. But I got there. I travelled to the Warner House to see the movie. Everything was all safe there as well. Lots of sort of check-ins and safety checks before we could even go in. And that's where I met Paul from DC World. Obviously, lots of NDAs were signed for this event, so we didn't know we would see each other there. So it was a nice surprise to see Paul, that we could experience this moment together. And we've had some chats since we've seen the movie, and we both agree that we can't wait to see it again. And yeah, we sort of chilled out in the lobby for a little bit. There's lots of fun statues and movie memorabilia. So we took lots of selfies with Batman and Wonder Woman, of course, and Flash was there, and Shazam. But we were both just pretty much extremely excited. You know, this film has been a long time coming. There's been lots of setbacks, obviously, because of everything that has happened this year. So Paul and I fully understood how grateful we were to get this opportunity to not only see this film, but see this film on a big cinema screen. Obviously, this film will be streaming on HBO in America, and it comes out in the UK in a few days' time. So if you are able to visit a cinema safely, I cannot recommend that you make a trip to your local cinema and watch this on the big screen. If you're going to be streaming it, I feel that this film is so impactful and passionate and exciting. It's going to be an enjoyable viewing no matter what size screen you see it on. But I think a lot of people these days have got large TVs at home, and some have got these very sort of elaborate sound systems as well, where you can make your living room your own personal cinema. But as I said, whatever size screen you watch this movie on, you're going to have a great time. And that is exactly what I did for 2 and something hours. I sat down in my chair, had my mask on, I was comfortable, I was ready, and the film started. And 2 hours and something later, the smile on my face was huge. I laughed, I gasped, cried. It's emotional, to say the least. But I just had a fantastic movie experience watching Wonder Woman 1984. And honestly cannot wait to see it again as soon as I possibly can. I'm sure there's some things that I missed. I'm sure there's... Well, I did spot 1 or 2 Easter eggs that I won't announce on here. I want to sort of see if anybody else spots them. But this movie from start to finish was just so visually exciting. And as I said, in a little while, I will go through my book and just read out my ramblings of how I felt and my sort of hot take, one would say, for this movie. So that's it. I left the cinema. I made my way back home to my fortress of solitude, and later on that day, at about, well, I'd been up since about 5:30 because I was excited to watch the film. But later on that night, at around 11:30, I would be speaking with Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins at a roundtable event. So I had 2 things that I was doubly excited about, and yeah, it was fantastic moment in sort of my blogging career, and I was ready for it. I had planned. We were allowed to ask them 1 question each, so I had my questions ready, and the time came. I joined the Zoom session rather earlier on and met some wonderful people from Warner Brothers US, and the Warner Brothers UK team were there as well. And I was excited. I was just ready to speak to these magnificent ladies about this film and ask them some questions, and just it's very electric, the whole atmosphere, being in this Zoom room with some other journalists from all over the world. And yeah, it's a moment that will definitely be a highlight for my 2020. And what I'm going to do right now, as we were allowed to obviously transcribe the interview so we could share online, and I have that right here. As I load up, this is a good plug, thegeekofsteel.com. And first of all, I got to ask Patty a question. And my question was, let's have a look. First of all, everyone was all excited and bubbly, and there was some ice breaking going on. And Patty was very, very excited. And she said, this is the first day we have talked to an audience. No one has seen this movie in an entire year. We've been sitting on a movie and not one person outside of the crew of the people that made it has seen it. So we are just so excited to talk to us. And they were. We got to sort of see them speak to all the guys that were asking questions. And yeah, it was a great time for me. And I wasn't tired. I think, where had I been up since very early in the morning? And I was excited from watching the film. And now I was excited to speak to these 2 ladies. But my question for Patty was, how did you feel when you first got to see the finished movie? And she replied, I was very, very relieved. It was a very complex movie to make. Very complex. This movie is almost exactly what we wrote and planned to do. So many of the things like Cheetah and the flying are green screen and look ridiculous until the very end. Temporary score is nothing compared to what Hans Zimmer's score is. It was one of those movies where I was following a blueprint, but it was very hard to do. The signs didn't happen where you were like, there it is, until the very end. When everything finally got in and suddenly I saw it, I had a totally different, powerful, emotional experience than I had in the making of it. So it was a huge relief. And I was calling Gal saying, dude, you're not going to believe how much it changed. In like one pass, it was like the pass before all those final effects weren't in. And the score was not in. And the last pass, boom. It like came to life. So it was an exercise in plan making and following through. And yeah, I will talk a lot more later on about what she was talking about there. And then I had to ask a question to Wonder Woman. I composed myself, took a deep breath, and I said, Gal, my question for you, as I try to compose myself as I'm speaking with Wonder Woman, and then I had to put this in quotes, is the fact that Wonder Woman giggled at me. And it was a highlight in my blogging career, I think. And I want that on a t-shirt, is that I made Wonder Woman laugh. But anyway, my question to Gal was, how did you feel when you put back on that wonderful costume to make this sequel? And Gal said, I was very, very, very happy. I was really looking forward to going back to set and to shoot this very ambitious movie. I got very excited, and it was a good excitement all the time. I feel like with the first movie, I was, just beginning. It was my first big role, and I felt like a little girl standing and looking at the Himalaya mountains and thinking to myself, how am I going to climb all the way up? On the second one, after climbing the Himalaya with Patty on the first movie, I just felt like I couldn't wait to bring the script to life. It was so rich, and it was so complex and ambitious and electric, and it was just, I couldn't wait to shoot the movie so we could finally do that. The fact that we are shooting the movie with people that I love so much, of course Patty, but our wonderful, wonderful cast members. We had Chris and we had Kristen and Pedro as an amazing addition to the movie. And all the key people that we worked with on the first one. It just felt like coming back home. That's the funny thing. Wonder Woman became my second home, and so does London, the UK, because we are shooting the movies, the stage work is there, so I was very, very excited to go back into Wonder Woman. And, that was their answers to my questions, and I was so glad that I managed not only to get the questions out, but the answers they gave were beautiful answers, and I'm very, very thankful for that day. I'm having a coffee right now out of my large Superman mug. I've been drinking a lot of coffee for the last few weeks. It's been long days, but exciting ones. Obviously, in a few days' time, today, as I say, is the 13th. On the 15th, there is when this podcast goes out, there's a live premiere happening. So it's going to be a fun event with, I believe, interviews and special guests, sort of a virtual event, because obviously, this year we've been unable to meet up and go to events, and we've been unable to see premieres happening. So I think Tuesday could be an exciting day. So after I've shared this podcast and video and an article out, I'm going to be attending that premiere as well. I'm not sure what the dress code is, but I'm ready for it, that's for sure. Right, let's go through this little notebook that is filled with notes from the movie, from before going up and preparing lots of different questions and knowing what to ask. And I think I changed a lot of my questions after I watched the film as well. And that was partly why the wonderful people at Warner Brothers UK invited me to London to see the film, is that I knew after seeing it, I would have more questions to ask them both. And boy, I've still got lots of questions. So right now, this is an open invitation to both Patty Jenkins and Gal Gadot. If at any time in the future you would like to be a very special guest on the podcast of Steel, you are more than welcome. So, as I go through all these pages, again, I'm not going to be spoiling anything in this. I'm not going to be talking about cameos. At the time of seeing the movie, there wasn't a post-credit scene, but apparently now there will be. Now, I don't need another excuse to see this movie again. I want to go back and see it as soon as possible. But now that there's a potentially extra scene involved, then I'm even more excited, which I can barely contain all the all the excitement I've had over the past few weeks. But yeah, there were just pages and pages of notes. Where does one begin? Let's talk about, first of all, just... I don't want to talk about lots of the scenes, because the trailers that we saw, the trailer that I reacted to almost a whole year ago, when the Wonder Woman 84 trailer was released, they barely scratched the surface of the film. People often say, oh, they've given away too much in the trailers. They're showing too much action. They're showing too much of the story. If you watched all of these trailers together now, yeah, it's going to be like 5% of the film or something like that. There were so many new things that we saw, so much new action sequences, so much more just glorious images on the screen. And I really, really hope that in the future, when all this nastiness has gone away, there will be more chances to see this on the big screen. A lot of it was filmed especially for IMAX, and those scenes I know are just going to be mind-blowing when we get to see them. I'm staying hopeful because I've seen, I think, all the latest DC movies over the years I've witnessed on the big IMAX screen in London. The first one being Man of Steel, and that just still gives me goosebumps to think about watching those scenes on that just ridiculously large cinema screen. But there are some scenes in this movie that I would really want to see on that IMAX. But the first scene in the movie is all on Themyscira, and I'm seeing it in my head more because I was trying to remember every scene in my head after I'd seen it, and I've not got the best of memories, but so much was happening, and it was just such fantastic camera work. Lots of high footage and action-packed footage. Basically, it's a flashback to Diana's younger days, and it is an action-packed scene filled with lots of emotion and just wicked stunts. And it really sets up the movie. It's similar, obviously, a little bit to the first Wonder Woman movie, with obviously the same settings and those same fantastic Amazonians just going at it in an almost Amazonian Olympic Games. But from that scene, we then obviously, we go to the 80s, and as I said, this is going to be a spoiler-free review of my thoughts of the film, but it's just a wonderful cinema experience. Patty Jenkins and the whole crew have just done a wonderful job, and there's definitely lots more humour in this one. The action is just everywhere. It's as if Patty Jenkins watched all the classic 1980s adventure movies, all the Indiana Jones, the Goonies, Romance in the Stone, anything there where there was action, mystery, villains, love interest, something mysterious. It's like if this movie came out in the 80s, it would be one of those ones now that we still talk about, like the Indiana Jones, like the Back to the Future, like just all these classic films that me, being from that, generation, I was born in the 80s, and I've grown up loving classic adventure films, and this film was that. It had the villains, it had friendships, it had fights, it had kisses, it had explosions, so many explosions. But if you're a fan of those types of movies like I am, when you watch this movie, you will be like, oh, that reminds me of this film, or that reminds me of that scene. There's a lot of that. I spotted references to, again, the Goonies, Back to the Future, Indiana Jones. So much was going on, and combine that with those bright visuals from the 80s. We have seen some of the images from the marketing where Gal is in a shopping mall, and all those scenes were a lot of fun. There was a montage in the beginning where if something that you symbolised with being from the 80s, you'll see it in that sequence. There was arcade games, there was a classic Firebird car, there was lots of fashion, there was big hair, there were bum bags. In America, they're called fanny packs. In the UK, bum bags. There was your lesson for the day. But lots of attention to detail was in this film. And I really hope sort of an artwork book is released for this movie, because there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure I missed. But I want to study it when I watch it again, and when I can watch it at home on my TV. So much was going on, and I just had... It was as I said, it's, for me, going to the cinema is an experience. I love that. I love hitting play on a movie that I've not seen before or have seen before, and switching off and getting lost in somebody else's story. I don't like to try and guess the ending of a film, although sometimes I can see it happening. It didn't happen in this film. There were lots of twists and turns. But I just love being taken on an adventure, escaping anything that's going on in my real world, as it were, and just being told a story by the director, the writers, and everybody that is involved in the movie making process. And I hope everybody that was a part of this movie is proud of the hard work they put into it. Everybody from the stunt crew, which were just phenomenal, the costume designers. There are fantastic outfits in this movie, as well as Wonder Woman's powerful heroic suit. We also see her in a lot of power suits as well that were typical of the time. And combine that with the story, the music, the mystery of where this story may continue to go. It's a film that you just get lost in. And yeah, I'm rambling again. I've not even looked at my notes yet, but I really, really want to go and see it again. Gal coming back as Wonder Woman and seeing her both as Diana and Wonder Woman, it's clear that over the many decades that she has been on Earth, she's learned a lot more. Not about just herself and humanity, but she's found some new moves. There is a fantastic action scene in that shopping mall where you really get to see her go to work. Not for the first time. She has many, many action scenes throughout the whole film. She fights so well. And on her own, and you do see her fight with others throughout the movie, and she's a team player, as always, and she is part of the Justice League. But the fighting in this scene, there was some good fighting in the first movie, and obviously we saw some action from her in a certain version of the Justice League. But she, being Gal, did a lot of physical training for this film, clearly. Not only from the big stunts, lots of wire work, brilliant fighting. You've seen some of the fighting in the trailers, nothing compared to what we get to see in the film. And her scenes with Kristen were just outstanding. I keep pausing and talking slower because in my head I'm rewatching the film and these certain scenes. But let's have a look at these notes about Gal. Gal Gadot. More confident as Wonder Woman, new techniques, honed her powers, charming, compassionate, independent. The costume is the original power suit, I wrote down. And her elegance and charm as both Diana and Wonder Woman are as vibrant as her costumes. Let's have a look. After speaking with Gal about this character, she has made it her own. And I adore her even more. There we go. Oh, that's very true. I mean, you look at someone and you do tend to think of them as that role, even though they have been in other movies. So I can't but think of Christopher Reeve as Superman. I can't look at Bruce Willis and not think of him as John McClane. And now, obviously, I see Gal Gadot and I see Wonder Woman. I hear Wonder Woman. The way she answered my question in the interview was, it was like I was speaking with Wonder Woman. and she's just got so much passion and love for the character that it is hard not to associate them both being the same person. And as I put at the end there, she is an ambassador for the world. Now, quite a few pages on Kristen Wiig. I was really looking forward to this character. Wiig is a wonderful comedian and a physical performer. I've seen her in some serious roles and a lot of comedy, and seeing her in this film was phenomenal. Seeing her play both characters so well and to witness her raw power as a warrior was stunning. Her battle scenes with Gal were explosive, and you could feel every punch, kick, and scratch. This was no regular cat. These were two warriors fighting with heart and all of their energy, neither held back. I couldn't take my eyes off the screen through most of this film because there was just so much going on. I didn't notice the time going by. All I could feel were just emotions for this movie. Quite a few times I did tear up. There are some powerful, moving scenes. There are some exciting scenes that also hit you in the feels, and some inspiring ones as well. Combine that with these just gorgeous visuals. Another smash hit soundtrack by Hans Zimmer. And if you're one of these people that get over emotional at movies and TV shows, you know, somebody like me that can't sit down and gets very, very excited, you are going to witness the same sort of experience that I had when watching this film. We've all waited for it for so long, and I did say that it is thoroughly worth the wait. And it's, as I said, if you can see it in a cinema, see it there, see it as safely as you can. If you can watch it at home or on any streaming device, then it's going to work as well for you. I do know that obviously America, it is released on HBO on Christmas Day, HBO Max, and I'm not entirely sure yet what will happen with the UK and the rest of the world. I am sure that Warner Brothers and DC Comics are working hard to make sure that this film is as available to as many people as possible, because we've all wanted it for so long. What else have I got down about Kirsten? Her final reveal that I will not mention. Oh, very, very well done. It's the third act, as well as, you know, most third acts in a movie, everything builds up and up and up to just some fantastic scenes. Now, as I said, there is not too many scenes familiar to the first movie. Obviously, they're both set in very different times and in different settings. Everyone really, really adored the No Man's Land scene in the first Wonder Woman movie. There is a scene like this in Wonder Woman 84, and I'm pretty sure you will be left breathless when that scene is happening and has finished. There were 3 people in the cinema when I was watching it, and I could definitely hear myself and Paul from DC World gasping for air. And yeah, ooh, I want to see that one again. Next notes in my special little book. Pedro Pascal. Absolutely adore this man. Yes, I'm a big fan of The Mandalorian. I've been loving him in that. I loved him when he's been on a lot of the Pablo Escobar TV shows. But, in this movie, you could tell that he had a lot of fun. From his first scenes to the final scenes of the movie, we get to see him perform on so many levels. Emotional, evil, funny, lots of charm. Lots of big classic 1980s suits. And throughout the film, yes, you do get to see not only his attitude change, but also his appearance. This character, Maxwell Lord, and he's done him justice. It was was a lot to see, a lot to take in, a lot to get excited about, and he was just so good. I loved his charm, his smugness, and his suits. In each scene he was in, he took over the show. His charismatic personality was both entertaining and suspicious to those aware of his own comic history. Watching him evolve from a failed businessman to this magnificent and conniving megalomaniac was an absolute delight. Pascal did not hold back in his performance. It wasn't him stealing the show, it was him owning it. His scenes with Gal and Kristen were very different. His charm didn't work on Diana very well, but those scenes were hilarious. Again, my mind's going back to not only his first scenes in the film, but everything else throughout. And if you are a fan of Pedro's, then you're going to be smiling in most of the scenes that he's in and gasping in most of the others, because it's phenomenal. There are 4 main characters in this movie. And now I'm going to be talking about Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, because yes, we saw him in the trailers. We've seen him in quite a lot of the marketing photos. I will not be telling you how Steve comes back. You can search online if you want. I'm sure as soon as this movie is released and the review embargo lifts, people will say, this has happened, this didn't happen, this person was in it, this person wasn't in it. I do not want to be that person who ruins a film for you. But the way he was brought back, I enjoyed. It was interesting. It made sense in a way. And I got, I won't mention the show / film that I believe this was referenced from, but when you see it, you'll get it. I'm pretty sure you'll get it. But I liked it, and I love Chris Pine. I think he's a very charming actor, and Chris and Gal together just have the most exquisite energy and charm. Some of my favourite scenes in the first Wonder Woman movie was Chris going around and telling Diana, you know, this is ice cream. Don't go down here. This is how we do this in our world. You may have never seen ice cream before, but hey, this is ice cream. Enjoy it. And in Wonder Woman 84, the roles were reversed. We get to see Diana take Steve out and show him this new world and be confused and excited about new things. And in most 80s movies, we do get a fashion montage, and I'm very happy to report that this did happen in this movie as well. I'm hoping bum bags make a comeback this year. I know the Casio watch has, because I've got one similar to the Steve Trevor watch. Seeing them back together was fantastic. And I had lots of notes on him, but a lot of them will be in my article, because I've got a lot more to say about this. Seeing these two characters together, you realise how perfect they are for each other. They are. And yeah, as characters go, this is a wonderful romance story. Seeing them not only in the loud and explosive scenes together, but also those quiet and intimate moments. Gal, over the years, as Diana, as obviously she's never really loved another. She's always been in love with Steve Trevor. This wonderful coupling, these two souls that were, who knows, destined to be together, and they are together again in this movie. And it feels as if not a day really has passed. It's a love element to the story that you don't feel that it's forced upon you. It's natural, and they work both very well in, again, those action scenes and also those romantic scenes, those quiet, more emotional scenes. And there's one scene in particular that I won't mention. It's incredibly visual, and it's possibly my favourite scene. Well, not really, because I've got about 5 favourite scenes that I loved in this sequel, but it's one of the major ones. And I cheered, I was hollering, I was gasping, probably annoying the other people that were in the cinema with me, but I love their time on screen. They are a fantastic power couple, and I would say more powerful in this movie than the original Wonder Woman movie. I know people are going to enjoy this film. I cannot wait to take my nieces of steel to see this movie. I can't wait to see it with friends and experience them watching the film. It's happened a few times in the past where I've been very fortunate enough to see a film before it comes out. And I remember the big exciting points in the movie where it gets very exciting and just explosive in the cinema. And in those moments, I much rather not look at the screen, but look at the people watching the movie. And that happened a few times in Wonder Woman 84, where I would want to look around and see how people react to certain scenes. Seeing, obviously, at the very beginning of the film, her first reveal was rather drawn out. And you saw just sort of some glimpse of suit, glimpse of colour, glimpse of the hair, and a little bit of a tiara. And then that sort of final reveal. It was, I would say, quite similar to the original Superman movies, with this hint of excitement and colour. Very vibrant. Obviously, the 80s, it was a colourful time for both fashion and marketing and everything else. And that shows in this film with the costume, with the sets, with the cars, and with everything. It's got hints of nostalgia. Not too much, but it's set in the 80s. Of course, there's going to be elements there that people recognise. And yes, it may seem campy to some. But the 80s were camp. Simple as that. It was great to see the 1980s in HD on this screen. And I think a lot of people are going to go and watch this film because, we were around in the 80s. We remember this time. We want to go back and see it again on the big screen. But that doesn't take away from the story and the action that we get. The filming and the effects in this movie were fantastic. Lots and lots of stunts. Everybody worked hard on those long scenes that reminded me of moments in Indiana Jones, and just when you felt that these actors and stunt people were at risk. And in this film, you do get that. There are some scary scenes. But yes, obviously, there is green screen involved. There are wires involved. But exciting stuff. And things we've never seen Wonder Woman do before. And we've only really witnessed in the comics. There are a few comics where she has used her tiara as a weapon. And we get to see that in this film, which was very fun. But kicks, punches, the lasso or the lasso of truth really gets some scenes in this movie. It was just an exciting ride from start to finish. From those scenes on Themyscira to the scenes back to the 80s. It was a vacation for your eyes. I don't think that's a quote that will be making it onto any posters soon. But it was just very, very exciting. It didn't take away from the story. Yes, there are 4 main characters in this film having separate storylines, but, it gets to the 3rd act and everything starts coming together. Everything starts to interact more, and you see all the red string on that corkboard coming together. And, like the Rubik's Cube from the 80s, when you finally get all those colours in place and you take a step back and look at the finished product, you feel relieved and accomplished. And I'm sure that is how Patty Jenkins felt after finally watching this film, because it was and it will be fun to watch. You truly get lost in the story. And it's lighthearted, it's got comedy, it's got action, it's got some dark scenes, it's got some sad scenes, but It's got a lot of heart. She shares a lot of her messages in this film, but I'm smiling because I can remember what she says in the film, and she's just one of these, another hopeful character. You know, obviously, as you know, I'm a huge fan of Superman. I'm a huge fan of Batman, and Wonder Woman is up there as well. They are the Trinity. You know, you see the times that we get to see Diana just deep within her own thoughts, facing her own battles, facing her own choices, and realizing that you can't just make a wish and the world becomes a better place. We have to work together as one within humanity to make the world a better place. We can't just snap our fingers and want it to happen. We have to work for it. And with all the messages in this film that do get delivered to you, it is a message of hope. It is for looking for a better tomorrow. And that message is the film. In the film is what the world needs right now. We've had a difficult year. We've had a difficult few years. 2020 being this maybe a year when hope was something that we had trouble finding. This film gives a lot of it, and I think that's something that we could all do with right now. Again, I'm rambling, and I apologize if so, but I've got so much to say about this movie. And when I can say more, I'm going to be waiting for a while, possibly in the new year, when more people have had the chance to see this tale. I will talk more about the spoilers, more about everything else. But initially, this review is just spoiler-free. It's just me smiling about this wonderful experience that I had watching it. And what else have I got in my book? Patty Jenkins section. There's quite a bit. I had a lot of faith in Patty Jenkins, and I was so happy that she would be working on this sequel. Patty is a fantastic storyteller, and this story of Wonder Woman 84 is a lot more complex than the first. From the very first scene, we got new visuals, shooting techniques, and more. This is not just a copy and paste sequel. There are fresh tones, unbelievable stunts, and things I was not expecting. Twists and turns and gasps. There was, however, one scene that was rather similar to the No Man's Land scene. I've talked about that, and when you see it, you're going to love it. When Patty wasn't creating funny scenes and action-packed scenes and emotional scenes, she was creating some truly beautiful visuals. My eyes were seeing so much. We saw every colour imaginable. I really hope I get to see this movie on the IMAX screen one day, as many of the scenes were breathtaking. I always love superhero scenes when clouds are involved. And yes, there were many cloud scenes in this movie. The build-up to the final scenes in that movie were paced very well. And even though I knew at one point we were going to see Diana in the Golden Eagle armor, I knew it was coming. But when that scene came, I kind of wish that wasn't put into the trailer. I understand why it was put in there because it's iconic. But that whole scene between Wonder Woman and Cheetah is long. There's a lot there. There's a whole lot going on in the third and final act. And very, very exciting finales. And that's what there's three scenes that I want to see again very, very much. And the one that is the most is the anything when we get to see Diana and Cheetah together going at it. A real no-holds-barred fight. As I've been rambling for about an hour now. If you're still with me, well done. Congratulations. And as a treat, I forgot to mention earlier on, coming up in a few days' time, when this podcast video article is live, a giveaway is also happening. And in that giveaway, there is a copy of Wonder Woman on Blu-ray Wonder Woman Golden Armor Funko Pop. And now I feel that you cannot have a Wonder Woman movie without Patty Jenkins. There's a Patty Jenkins Funko Pop as well. And this is a international worldwide giveaway. And that'll be launching on Tuesday, the 15th, when the review embargo is lifted, and also when this Wonder Woman world premiere event will be happening at the DCFandom.com website. I will add that link below. I'm still smiling from this movie. I probably missed lots of things out in this review that I did want to talk about. I love movies. I love action movies. I love superhero movies. I love sci-fi. I love everything where I am taken out of my day-to-day life and left with somebody else's story. And I'm so thankful for this movie and everything that goes along with it. The hope for the future of cinema. The hope that we will one day see these fantastic scenes again with all my favourite heroes. You know, I would love, now that we've seen Wonder Woman in the 80s, to go into the 90s, perhaps. You know, another iconic era. It's not time travel, that's for sure. Time travel is always risky in superhero movies and movies in general. Sometimes you get people that respect the space-time continuum, and then you get movies that don't. And I think just having a film set completely in the 80s was a challenge, to say the least. We're dealing with lots more different types of tech, lots of different references, lots of different political storylines, which were done very well in the film. If you are aware of your 1980s world history, you will see some references to that, I'm sure. And I need to go through this film again and definitely notice some of the things that were happening in the background and some of the other characters that did appear in the movie. Basically, I just want to watch this movie again. I had so much fun with it, and it's top on my events for the year of 2020. Not that I've been to many places. Many of us have not really been to many places. So my last time to the cinema was to see Birds of Prey back in February. And then March came, and then lockdown happened, and then lockdown 2, and then lots of other things happened. But I would happily watch this film again on my television screen. I would happily see it again on a cinema screen. I just want to watch this film again because it was enjoyable. It was escapism, and it was hopeful. And I'm very thankful for ending the year with some happiness. 2021 will hopefully be a better year for many of us. And I've also got some plans in action to help as much as I can to make 2021 a more positive year, both for myself and also for you. These are wonderful people that allow me to ramble about my passions, interview celebrities and creators, and be part of a world that I never knew really existed. This blogging world, this Geek of Steel world. He certainly is my alter ego now. When I need to suit up, as it were, and interview people like Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins and Zachary Levi, the Geek of Steel taps me on the shoulder and he takes over. Luke Bugg is what is left behind afterwards, composing his thoughts, smiling, not being able to sleep because he is so excited. But I am incredibly grateful, not only to Warner Brothers and DC Comics for inviting me to events such as this, but I'm also incredibly grateful for all of you. I've always said that as long as one person is enjoying my content, I will never stop creating. And that goes for 2021, 2022, and for as long as you want me to be around. I am Luke Bugg, the Geek of Steel. Thank you for listening. If you are listening to this on the podcast apps, please remember to like, review, and download, all that good stuff. And if you're on YouTube, hello, I'm waving to you right now. Please click on the comment section below, leave a message, send a like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. And I will be back soon with a brand new video. That giveaway now, again, for the Blu-ray and all the Funko Pops with it as well, is live now. And that is a worldwide giveaway, people. And that is on Twitter. I need more coffee now, as I've been talking for far too long. But please, after you've seen this movie, feel free to send me a direct message. Don't spoil it for anybody else. Send me a message. Tell me what you think. Give me your questions. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you loved. There's going to be a lot. And as I said, I will be back soon. I'm Luke Bug, the Geek of Steel, and have a nice day.